Every neighborhood has one house people notice. Fresh paint, perfect landscaping, luxury cars that seem to change every few years. On Maple Street, that house belongs to Ryan Carter. Children slow their bicycles whenever they pass his driveway. Delivery vans arrive so often, the drivers barely need to check the address anymore. One day it's patio furniture, the next it's a 75-inch television. A week later, it's a pallet of landscaping stone. Neighbors never have to wonder whether Ryan is doing well. His house answers the question for him. Halfway down the same street stands another house. It isn't neglected. The lawn is trimmed. The windows are spotless. Nothing looks old enough to need replacing. Nothing looks new enough to attract attention. It simply blends into the neighborhood. It belongs to Michael Grant. His pickup truck has occupied the same driveway for so many years that children use it as a landmark while giving directions. Every Saturday morning, he washes it by hand, not because it's valuable, but because it still does exactly what he needs it to do. Most evenings, the two men arrive home within minutes of each other. Ryan's garage door rises to reveal polished concrete floors, bright LED lighting, and whichever vehicle recently replaced the last one. Michael's garage opens onto shelves of labeled storage bins, a sturdy workbench, and a small cabinet holding household files. A brokerage statement, a property tax notice, a folder labeled retirement. The garage closes before anyone walking past notices. Neither man hides anything. One simply attracts more attention than the other. On warm Saturday mornings, neighbors gather around the coffee stand near the entrance to Maple Street. Someone always mentions Ryan. "Did you see the outdoor kitchen? I hear they're flying to Italy this summer." Michael's name almost never comes up. When it does, the comments are short. "Nice guy. Keeps his yard tidy." Nobody means anything by it. They're simply describing what they can see, and what they can see seems to tell the whole story. Every weekday morning begins almost the same way. At exactly 7:15, Ryan steps out carrying a travel mug and his phone. Before reaching the driver's seat, his screen lights up. A rewards card congratulating him on a milestone, a retailer advertising an exclusive sale, an airline reminding him his points are about to unlock an upgrade. He isn't chasing status. He simply enjoys making life a little nicer whenever he can. 3 minutes later, Michael locks his own front door. His phone vibrates too. A dividend received. He reads it, locks the screen, and pockets it before reaching the end of the driveway. The dividend is small, not because the investment is small, but because it arrives so often it has quietly become part of everyday life. Ryan and Michael work less than 10 blocks apart. They earn respectable salaries. Neither owns a flashy business, wins the lottery, or receives a surprise inheritance. If someone compares only their annual income, the difference is surprisingly small. At lunch, Ryan meets coworkers at a new steakhouse. One talks about a raise, another about refinancing his mortgage. Ryan mentions he's getting quotes for a swimming pool. Nobody questions it. Why would they? People usually calculate whether they can afford something. They rarely ask whether they'll still want it 5 years later. Across the street, Michael eats the lunch he packed, a newspaper open beside him to an article about compound returns, marked with a small pen circle. His friend David joins him. "Most people get excited when markets go up," David says. "I get more interested when they go down." Michael nods. "So do I." No lecture. Just two old friends watching people hurry back to work while the market quietly does what it's always done. Friday, Ryan turns into his driveway with a trailer of boxes labeled outdoor kitchen. By sunset, a designer is walking him through countertop options. Neighbors slow their evening walks to admire it. Everything makes financial sense when viewed one decision at a time. A few houses away, Michael arrives home with a small grocery bag. Another envelope waits in the mailbox. His annual 401k statement. He sets it beside the brokerage statement from earlier in the week. Neither gets opened immediately. Dinner comes first. Later, at the dining table with no television and no music, just a calculator, a legal pad, and 3 envelopes, he spends 15 minutes reviewing them and writes one note in the margin: "Stay the course." Then he goes to bed. Saturday, Ryan's backyard transforms hour by hour, becoming the most talked about renovation the street has seen in years. That evening, he hosts a barbecue. Friends ask about the financing. "I locked in the loan before rates moved higher," he says. And the conversation drifts naturally into mortgages, remodels, and vacation budgets. Across the street, Michael sits alone on his porch with a paperback. His phone buzzes once. The market is down nearly 3%. He glances at it, locks the screen, and reaches for the watering can. The market can wait until Monday. Monday brings rain and a manufacturing data sell-off on the radio. Ryan barely hears it. He's thinking about how the finished outdoor kitchen makes the patio furniture look dated. At the next light, a home equity notification tells him his property value rose again. By the time he reaches the office, he's already thinking about new patio chairs. Michael parks outside the office where he's worked 18 years, passes a lobby TV reporting the decline, and keeps walking, not because he doesn't care, but because he already knows what he'll see. In the cafeteria, every table has its own financial expert. David asks if he's checked his portfolio. "I know it's down," Michael says. "When will you look?" "When I actually need to make a decision." Discipline, it turns out, usually looks like someone deciding not to open an app. That afternoon, Ryan's quarterly summary shows a few funds down. Nothing catastrophic, but the red numbers linger longer than they should. He stops at a home store for light bulbs and leaves eyeing patio heaters he wasn't looking for. Michael stops at the library instead, returns a book, borrows another, and pockets a flyer for a retirement planning seminar. Not because he needs convincing, but because he enjoys hearing different perspectives. Thursday evening. The community center parking lot is only half full. No banners, no television cameras, no luxury cars lined outside. Just ordinary people carrying notebooks and questions they haven't asked anyone else. Michael takes a seat near the back. David waves from 2 rows ahead. The presenter isn't a celebrity investor. "My name is Karen Ellis," she says simply. "I've spent 26 years helping families prepare for retirement." She places 2 empty glass jars on the table. She drops 1 coin into the first, 5 into the second. "If I show you these jars 1 year from now, which one will probably contain more money?" Most point to the second. Karen smiles. "Probably." Then she picks up the first jar again. "But what if this jar has been receiving 1 coin every single day for 15 years? The room goes noticeably quiet. She isn't teaching mathematics. She's teaching time. For the next hour, nobody discusses getting rich overnight or predicts the next crash. Instead, they talk about contribution rates, employer matches, tax efficiency, rebalancing, sequence of returns risk. Topics that sound almost disappointingly ordinary, delivered by people with decades of experience doing exactly these ordinary things. On the drive home, one sentence refuses to leave Michael. "Wealth usually grows too slowly to entertain you." If this way of thinking about money is changing how you see wealth, take a second to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to TED Wealth Theory. Every like helps more people discover these timeless financial principles, and every week we uncover the hidden psychology and everyday habits that quietly build lasting wealth. Now, let's see why this lesson becomes even more powerful. At the same time, Ryan's backyard glows under new patio lighting. Friends filling the space, someone joking his yard is nicer than most restaurants. Someone compliments the stone countertops. Another asks who designed the space. His neighbor, Olivia, walks over carrying dessert and looks around. "This must have cost a fortune," she says. Ryan laughs. "It wasn't cheap." "Worth it?" He doesn't hesitate. "Absolutely." And he means it. The evening creates memories, conversations, photographs. Nobody here is wasting money. They're spending it on experiences they genuinely enjoy, which makes the next question harder. If 2 purchases both make you happy today, why does only one keep making you wealthier years later? Nobody asks it tonight. Everyone's too busy enjoying the moment, including Ryan. Especially Ryan. Michael's house is dark by then. No neighbor would guess he's just made one of the most profitable decisions of his year, increasing his retirement contribution by 2%. Nobody applauds. Nothing about it can be seen, except his future, and futures are notoriously difficult to admire in the present. Friday morning, Ryan stands in his finished backyard feeling exactly what he'd hoped to feel. Satisfied. until his eyes drift to an empty corner by the fence that would fit a fire pit perfectly. He hadn't noticed it yesterday. Now he can't stop seeing it. Michael logs into his retirement account, updates one automatic contribution, and closes the laptop in under 3 minutes. Nothing about the screen looks exciting. The decision is already behind him before his coffee's finished. Weeks pass. Nothing dramatic happens. No lottery win, no market miracle, just paychecks, bills, groceries, and the ordinary machinery of an economy, which is exactly where the most important financial stories get written. Saturday. Neighbors admire the new SUV. Michael arrives in the same pickup he's driven for years, and nobody notices. It's become invisible through familiarity. In the glove compartment sits an unopened envelope from his investment company. He already knows what's inside. Years of small decisions beginning to look much larger. That afternoon, Ryan's father circles the SUV, admiring it, then says it reminds him of his own first new car. Exciting for about a month, and then simply his car. Every possession, no matter how exciting, eventually becomes ordinary. Not because it changes, because people do. Sunday, Michael helps his friend David downsize into a smaller house now that the kids are gone. Carrying the last box, David admits he expected it to feel like losing. It feels strangely like gaining, he says. Less to maintain, less to insure, less to worry about, a lot more freedom. The richest stage of my life began, he adds, when I stopped needing my life to keep looking richer. The line follows Michael home, not because it's clever, but because it's measurable. Monday, Ryan opens his annual net worth statement. The number is higher than last year, higher than expected, yet it doesn't feel as impressive as he imagined. Michael opens the same kind of email at lunch and notices his investment account has quietly grown larger than his remaining mortgage balance. 15 years ago, that outcome felt impossibly far away. It arrived so gradually he almost missed it. That evening, Ryan's mother hands him an old photo of a childhood fishing trip. He remembers catching fish that, his father reveals, were never actually caught. He remembers the trip itself for months afterward anyway. The drive, the sandwiches, the jokes. Some of his happiest memories produced nothing to display afterward. At the neighborhood picnic, someone sighs that they'll never have enough saved and admits they keep moving the number. Emily Chen, the realtor, says she's watched people double their number and still not feel secure. I don't think the number changes first, she says. I think the definition does. Nobody responds. Everyone's quietly checking their own. That night, alone in his finished backyard, Ryan asks himself a question he's avoided for years. When did enough become later? No answer comes. Instead, another question replaces it. What if enough has been here longer than I've noticed? Nothing around him has changed, except the way he's looking at it. Sometimes that's the most valuable upgrade a person will ever make. Autumn arrives. Ryan still leaves for work at the same time. Michael still washes his truck every Saturday. Life continues quietly, gradually, almost invisibly, just like wealth does. An old college friend, Daniel Foster, now runs a successful software company, comes to town for dinner. Ryan asks how business is going, expecting an exciting answer. It's good, Daniel says simply. Growing. No expansion, no new office. The first million his company earned felt unforgettable, he admits. The second, he barely noticed. Wealth never really changed how it felt. What changed was his problems. The expensive ones replaced the cheap ones, and the excitement became quieter. Building wealth isn't emotionally rewarding most of the time, he says. It's emotionally repetitive. Ryan stares into his coffee. Nothing about that fits the picture he'd always imagined. Movies don't show repetition, and financial headlines never celebrate another ordinary month of disciplined investing. The next morning, Michael's investment account hits a round number milestone he'd hoped to reach by year's end. He smiles, locks the screen, and goes on with his day. No dinner reservation, no celebration post. The milestone changes his balance sheet. It doesn't change his identity. That distinction matters more than most people realize. Wealth rarely changes who you are. It usually just amplifies whoever you already were. At the office holiday lunch, everyone shares what they bought themselves this year. A motorcycle, a designer bag, a new camera. When it's Michael's turn, he says he increased his investments. The table laughs and presses for something fun. It was, he says simply, and nobody quite understands the answer, because fun is usually measured by excitement, not peace. Later, walking back with 2 coffees, Ryan can't stop replaying it. Why did Michael sound genuinely happy? Not proud, not self-righteous, just content. Contentment. Such an ordinary word. Somehow it seems rarer than ambition. At a bookstore that evening, an older stranger reaching for the same book tells Ryan he's already read it. Worth reading? Ryan asks. Depends whether you're trying to become richer, the man says. Or trying to feel richer. Ryan asks if that isn't the same thing. I spent 30 years believing it was, the man replies, and walks away. Ryan never learns his name, but the question follows him through the store. Weeks later, Daniel notices something during another visit. Ryan has stopped explaining his purchases. A year ago, every improvement came with a story. The financing, the discount, the justification. Now the backyard simply exists. Nobody needs convincing anymore, not even Ryan. That's usually when people know they've stopped buying things to impress themselves, Daniel says. Around the same time, Emily finalizes a sale for a young couple buying their first house. Asked for one piece of financial advice, she says quietly, "Don't let every increase in income become an increase in expectations. The house should become part of your life. Don't let your life become part of paying for the house." Neither of them says anything, because they can already imagine how easily that could happen. Months keep passing. The outdoor kitchen loses its novelty. The SUV becomes transportation. The investment statements get thicker. The retirement account crosses another quiet milestone. None of it feels dramatic, and that's exactly the point. Most wealth isn't built in one unforgettable moment. It's built from thousands of decisions, so ordinary they're forgotten almost as soon as they happen. Choosing not to upgrade, increasing an automatic contribution, waiting one more year, ignoring one ad, keeping something that still works, saying, "Not yet." Or sometimes, "This is already enough." If someone visits Maple Street 10 years from now, Ryan's house may still catch their eye first. Michael's may still blend into the background. Nothing about appearances guarantees the conclusion, because wealth has always had 2 versions. The one people can photograph, and the one quietly purchasing freedom decades into the future. One attracts compliments. The other creates choices. One grows louder. The other grows deeper. Most people spend years chasing the first, only to discover they wanted the second all along. Because becoming rich doesn't feel boring after all. It only feels boring when you expect wealth to entertain you. Its real purpose is something greater. To quietly remove financial stress from ordinary days, to give your future more choices than your past had, to make work optional one day instead of mandatory forever, to buy time instead of status, to purchase peace instead of applause. And peace has never been particularly exciting. It's simply priceless. If TED Wealth Theory is helping you see the invisible financial behaviors most people never notice until years later, subscribe and join us every week. Together, we'll uncover the hidden psychology behind money, wealth, and decision-making, so you can build financial freedom deliberately instead of accidentally. Next time, we'll answer one of the most important questions every working person faces. What should you do the moment your salary hits your account? We'll walk through a simple paycheck blueprint, how much to save, how to build an emergency fund, where to invest, and how to enjoy your money without sacrificing your future. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.